to be more spiritual. See, Satan's assignment, he wants every believer to stay natural. Stay natural. To remain natural, you not know the physical things, the spiritual things. You know, that's Satan's plan. Because the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, because they're foolishness upon him, and they're spiritually discerned. So his plan is to have you bind up and entangle in all type of strongholds, staying in that natural state. So now you see why it's important for us to renew our mind.
Amen.
All because when we went to the beginning, we seen all that was happening, all that happened, that fell on us.
Amen.
So now it's really important for us to renew our minds, because our mind's been soaked up in all type of garbage, you know. And so it's going to take a higher power to neutralize that demonic information that we always introduced to, and many of us fell in love with. And so we're going to go and talk about the mind. We're going to talk about the mind. And I love to talk about Paul. I love Paul. And Paul tells us in Romans 7, verse 9, Paul was dealing with the law in his mind. He was dealing with a battle in his mind. And so Paul said, I was alive without the law once. Then the commandment came, sin revived, and I died. The commandment that was ordained to life, I found to be unto death. For sin taking occasion of the commandment, it deceived me, and by it slew me. And so Paul quickly find out that the law that he has put his hope in killed all hopes of him thinking that he could do anything on his own effort. And that sounds like a lot of us. You know, we go through this battle in the mind, and instead of getting taught, instead of the searching the scriptures, we try to figure it out on our own. And that only catch us going in circles. We think we have this supernatural power where we be able to deal with this thing without God. And just like a kid, just playing around in a revolving door, we catch ourselves just going in circles, getting nowhere. In verse 15 of Romans 7, Paul said, for that which I do not allow, for which I would, that I don't do. And that I hate, that I do. So the good that he tried to do, he couldn't do it, but that what he hate, he caught himself doing. That sounds like many of us. Many of us, we hate sin. We hate this problem so much. But because we don't acknowledge God, we leaning on our own understanding, we catch ourselves going back to that same place. And sometimes we go to a place that worse than that state. There is a God. There is a supernatural power. But because I'm leaning on my own understanding, because I don't fully submit to this higher power, which is God, we catch ourselves going in circles, not getting nowhere. And so I was taught recently, in my 31 years on this earth, I was taught that submitting to God plays a huge role in the renewing of the mind.
Amen.
It plays a big role in the renewing of the mind. So in Romans 7 verse 18, Paul, he goes on and he said, for now that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For the will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good, I found not. So Paul, like many of us are learning today, that nothing good dwells in this flesh. Like my dad always said, this flesh is a mess. It's a mess. Nothing good dwells in this flesh.
Amen.
So why a lot of times we dress up the flesh? We cherish the flesh. We cherish something that's harming, doing great damage to us. Then we expect to have a renewed mind. Then Paul goes and he tells us in verse 23, Romans 7, but I see another law of my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity of the law of sin, which in my members. So Paul realized that his sinful desires that live in the flesh was warring against the law that was in his mind to do good. Don't that sound like many of us?
Amen.
That sound like many of us. We're going through something in our mind. We want to do good. But because we don't have no knowledge about God, because our mind's not renewed, we catch ourselves doing the things that we hate. Remember, the spirit is willing indeed, right?
Amen.
But the flesh is weak. So that means your spirit is weak and your flesh is too alive.